on the other side could make it today. I don't know if that means that there weren't enough seats in the courtroom in New York, but I know that the Oversight Committee canceled a hearing that was supposed to happen right now on this matter so that they could be at the president's trial. I know some members will miss this vote because they want to be at the president's trial, and I don't think that anything could animate the phrase "do nothing Congress" more than missing votes and canceling hearings to go up and be a spectator at your cult leader's trial. That is the definition of "do nothing Congress." But I'm here for a celebration because, let's raise a glass, it's been about 2 years this week. May 12 is when Jim Jordan, our chairman, was subpoenaed and asked to comply with his subpoena for his role, his interaction with the former president on the January 6th attack of the Capitol. And so we are now 735 days in. It's 2 years, and this committee has the nerve, this committee has the temerity to seek compliance from the Attorney General. I actually think you should not be able to bring any subpoena of another person if you are out of compliance of your own subpoena. That seems to make a lot of sense to me, and we'll have an amendment to address that a little bit later. But I want to talk about this particular effort to hold the Attorney General in contempt, because what is this really about? After all, it was Donald Trump's appointed prosecutor who the Attorney General deputized to be the special counsel here to look at President Biden's handling of classified documents. So it was Donald Trump's prosecutor who cleared President Biden. He said, there's nothing to see here. And in fact, although he did not put it in the lead memo for his report, there was an exchange that he acknowledged in the interview with President Biden where the special counsel told the president, your recall is photographic. He didn't say your recall is good. He didn't say your recall is decent. The special counsel said your recall is photographic. So what is this really about? This is about you all not accepting the outcome of the 2020 election. You rooted on the rioters as they sought to attack the Capitol on January 6th. If that wasn't enough, you all went back to the floor and relitigated the issues that brought the rioters to the Capitol just 8 hours later. Many of you go and visit the convicted criminals who assaulted the police officer at their jail cells. And during Police Week, as a bunch of officers yesterday testified in the Homeland Security hearing that those officers are heroes and those rioters are criminals, you call them hostages. And the former president calls them hostages. So this is entirely about not accepting the outcome of the January 6th vote here, rooting on the rioters, and doing everything you can to try and affect the outcome of the upcoming election. And so then I thought to myself, is there like a parallel? Is there another investigation where your side was completely incurious about what that investigation yielded? Turns out there was. Turns out it happened recently. Turns out somebody on your side was investigated for sex trafficking. Now, you're going to say, well, he was cleared. He was cleared. They dropped the charges. Yes, the Biden Attorney General dropped the charges, didn't pursue, didn't bring charges. That's exactly what happened with President Biden. But you all have shown no interest to go to the Attorney General and say, well, we want to learn more. We want to see the notes and the audio recordings and the evidence of our own colleagues' sex trafficking investigation. Not a peep from any one of you. So if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to show just a little bit of consistency, I would be willing to entertain that you have a genuine interest in understanding what happened in that hearing. But that's not what this is about. This is about doing everything to help Donald Trump, who you see as your client, who a New York criminal trial sees as a defendant, to help him win an election. So I have no interest in playing this game. The American people have no interest in playing this game. And all this does, for those of you who have graced us with your presence, animates that it's a completely do-nothing Congress. And I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would yield to the gentleman from California.
I'll be very brief before my colleague from California leaves. I've been on this committee long enough to know why we mark up contempt. This committee and the committee that he referred, oversight, we've held people in contempt for not doing things. This committee successfully held in contempt the chief counsel to the president under George W. Bush for not showing up. We, next door, held in contempt Eric Holder for withholding information that he said he had 200 and some pages. Ultimately, over 10,000 pages turned out to be delivered. What's interesting and very similar is the president's old boss, President Obama, claimed executive privilege on exactly the day we were about to do this, and ultimately none of those 10,000 pages stood the test under a judge appointed by President Obama for executive privilege. So the false claim of executive privilege today is just as much a ruse as it was under President Obama. And that's the piece of history that I hope my colleagues will observe as we hold this Attorney General in contempt. And I thank the gentleman for yielding.